encontramos en el municipio de San Onofre.
We are in the municipality of San Onofre, Vereda, El Barro, Granja El Recreo.
Esta zona para la
This area for agriculture and livestock is quite prosperous.
próspera.
Aquí
Here we can find bananas, yams, cassava, also the famous cheese that we make.
también el famoso queso que hacemos.
Nosotros desde
Since 2010, more or less, we've been making the transformation from traditional agriculture and livestock to one that is more environmentally friendly.
a una más amigable con el medio ambiente. Empezamos con todo lo que es la parte agrícola.
We started with everything related to agriculture, doing good agricultural practices because from one day to the next it is almost impossible.
Empezamos con buenas prácticas agrícolas, empezamos con un lote muy pequeñito.
We started with a very small lot, with what we call one task, forest tasks, which were vegetables, and then we began expanding to all the crops we had on the farm.
A todos los cultivos que teníamos en la granja y de ahí fuimos pasando también.
From there we went through, in the same process, to be organic. First we started with good agricultural practices, taking into account that agrochemicals that were not so bad, ones that it is bad but not so bad. Then we already started to make the change to something organic that we are currently produce.
Plátano,
Plantain, cassava, yams and papayas, totally organic, which is what we do the most.
sí, nacieron otros, porque acuérdate que el vecino acá tiene. Ay, caramba.
Sí, verdad, y pueden nacer.
Claro, los pajaritos. Al ser empírico fue mucho ensayo y error.
Being empirical, it was a lot of trial and error. There were moments in which one wonders, could it be that I am doing it right? Sometimes you want to see the result immediately, and no, this has a result in which you have to have a little patience.
Hay que tener un poquito de paciencia para uno poderle ver los resultados.
La verdad, al principio muy difícil, muy...
The truth was that at the beginning it was very difficult. It seemed that it was not working. Suddenly it was the way we had been working.
notábamos como que no rendía. No,
We noticed that it was not working. What's more, sometimes we had to take the cattle to the neighbour's farm,
sacarlo a la finca del vecino pagándole pasto.
paying for grass, and we didn't see that it would work for us, because the bills that we are handling today were not handled here.
Que hoy en día estamos manejando.
Y algo que también pegaba mucho es que pues,
And something that also hit a lot is that people around us did not do the same, so sometimes they told us, "Oh, you're stupid, look how much I already did, and you're only in the first one."
apenas están en la primera, que no sé qué.
El comienzo no es fácil.
The beginning is not easy. Every beginning is hard. But as one gets hold of the thread, one realizes that it can be done, with effort, but it can be done.
Uno se da cuenta de que sí se puede. Con esfuerzo es, pero sí se puede.
Thank God, the farm today, we can say that it is half self-sustaining.
Que es a media autosostenible.
¿Qué es lo que hace sostenible a un país?
What makes a country sustainable? The fact of supplying their basic needs. Yes, as a household, I managed to meet my basic needs, because I already earned it, because the salary that comes in, I'm not going to spend on the family basket.
¿Qué es lo que más uno gasta? Entonces, meternos ese chip nos hizo de que
So that's it, putting in that chip that made us think, hey, really, the important thing is to cultivate for us, and what's left is sold. It's one more surplus. The profit is not taking what I earn to eat.
Hoy por hoy, yo me considero,
Today, I consider myself a privileged man.
primeramente por Dios, y segundo porque nosotros
Firstly for God, and secondly because with our effort many projects have come our way.
no todo campesino le aporta.
Not every farmer bets on a project in which he has to see if things work out.
La gobernadora de Sucre nos dijo que necesitan tener una hectárea de tierra.
The government of Sucre told us, you need to have 1 hectare of land. They are going to give it to you for ploughing, and we are going to invest in a project with an irrigation system, where we are going to plant cassava, plantain, corn and beans.
O sea, un proyecto de investigación.
In other words, a research project, and we bet on that project of all good beans.
no dio nada. No cogimos sino 2 libras de frijol.
The beans did not give anything. We only took 2 pounds of beans, but well, since it was an experimental project, let's go with what they gave, and we did.
La yuca, sí, me fue bien.
I did well with cassava. With corn, they also brought me little corn, which is number 109, the worst on the market.
Yo le dije, yo para sembrar 109 me siempre mi maíz criollo.
I told them, for that grace I plant criollo corn, but 109 is not adequate for this area. It also went wrong for us. On the other hand, in bananas, thank God, this is the one that has shown its face. We are currently harvesting between 600 and 700 bananas every 8 days.
600 y 700 plátanos. Aquí tengo 10 hectáreas y media de potrero, de tierra.
Here I have 10.5 hectares of land, but I have 4 reservoirs.
Tengo un reservorio, otro reservorio, tengo 4 reservorios. Tengo 1 hectárea y media para cultivo.
1.5 for crops and 6 hectares for cut pasture in the summertime, so I don't have the 10 hectares clearly to rotate.
No tengo las 10 hectáreas netamente para rotar. Entonces, ¿qué hago yo? Yo voy dividiendo los poteros.
Therefore, I am dividing the paddocks according to the amount the cattle need with electrical tape.
Como toda la finca está electrificada.
Since the entire farm is electrified, it is easy for me to hook here and there and decide where to eat.
En 4 trajes de monte. Y ahí me come el ganado, 4 trajes de monte. Si yo veo que...
If I see that at 10 in the morning or at 2 in the morning everything has been eaten and the cattle are hungry, I request a little bit more.
Y con la ganadería, el cambio también fue comenzar a hacer... Papi es muy investigativo en ese sentido. Y él decía, vamos a hacer varios...
Dad is very investigative, and in that sense he used to say, we can get several out of a paddock. We began to do it quite empirically, and when one always begins God, life, or whoever one wants to name, he puts those little people who teach one how to do it.
Así fueron llegando, personas que nos fueron orientando en el proceso.
So, that's how people arrived who are guiding us in the process, and we currently rotate paddocks. We have electric fences, live fences, and scattered trees in the paddocks.
Nosotros venimos trabajando proyecto ganadería regenerativa.
We have been working on the Regenerative livestock project to somewhat mitigate the climate impact. They gave us an electric fence for the paddocks because when we were here we only had one. We have already made progress to rotate the crops.
Echaba el ganado ahí todo el tiempo, o sea que el ganado pasaba en el potero todo el tiempo, camine y coma y haga. Ellos nos ayudaron con la cerca eléctrica y nosotros ya hemos ido para rotar los cultivos, para cortar los poteros.
Seeing that the cattle eat one day here and rotate successfully over the 24 pastures that we currently have.
Y actualmente nosotros tenemos 24 poteros. O sea que
cattle arrive at a different pasture every 24 days.
Que no es lo normal, porque lo normal es que llegue a los...
Which is not normal, since the estimate is between 35 to 40 days.
Además, son 10 hectáreas de monte.
It has gone well for us that way because there are also 10 hectares of forest.
O sea, estamos en ese proceso. Nosotros trabajamos con el ganado criollo.
And we still do not have all the adequate pastures to do that, so we're in this process. We normally work with criollo cattle, and now I am starting with the Hirolando. I bought a bull of this breed to cross it with the ones I have.
Lo que pasa es que la gente está acostumbrada, o sea, la tradición del...
What happens is that the tradition of the Colombian cattle rancher is to have extensions of land with extensions of cattle, and it is not like that.
Y no es así. Una extensión de tierra, por ejemplo, yo le he hecho 40 reses a esa tierra.
In an extension of land, for example, he made 40 cattle and it took 30 or 40 days.
40 reses y la demoro 40 días allí.
The cattle trampling on it is a lot because it becomes selective.
Se vuelve selectivo. No come, sino que empieza.
It does not eat but begins to choose what it likes the most.
Trabaja con ganadería regenerativa o
In an extension of land, for example, he made 40 cattle and it took 30 or 40 days.
el ganado come de todo, ni maleza le sale al.
Does not eat but begins to choose what it likes the most. But when one works with regenerative cattle or pasture rotation, the cattle eat everything.
No hay que, los que usan veneno no usan veneno. No hay que
Nor do they grow weeds. In this model, we don't need to use poison. We don't have to disassemble all that is economy for fruit.
tener pendiente de que tantas cabezas de ganado en tanto por poco tiempo.
But this is achieved when one is able to keep an eye on how many heads of cattle we have for how many hectares of land. For example, here I am managing 20 cattle, and I manage them in 8 hectares of forest daily.
Nosotros, por ejemplo, depende de lo que vayamos a hacer. Si nosotros vamos a sembrar yuca,
If we're going to plant cassava, what we do is prepare the soil. The first thing is to rake, make holes,
picar la bástica y utilizamos un desinfectante para
chop it, and we use a disinfectant so that termites do not penetrate.
ese desinfectante lo prepara mi esposa, que es el ajiajo.
This is prepared by my wife, which is spicy chili pepper with garlic and its leaf.
Porque el nin es un repelente. Así que con eso nosotros desinfectamos.
Which is a repellent. With that, we disinfect the bastiga and put it. From there, the cassava matica arises.
Cuando vamos a sembrar ñame, la misma historia. Picamos la semilla de ñame, preparamos la tierra.
When we go to plant yams, it's the same story. We chop the seed, prepare the soil, rake it, and pry holes because we don't use a plough.
Todo es manual.
Everything here is manual. We don't use agrochemicals either. What we do is with a scythe and machete.
Aquí trabajamos con guadaña y machete. Es todo lo que nosotros utilizamos. Aquí no utilizamos agroquímicos. Bueno, es importante la edificación, ¿por qué?
Edification is important because one plant protects the other.
Más sin embargo, la planta que, por ejemplo, si yo tengo yuca,
For example, if I have cassava, it takes some nutrients that the bean gives to the soil.
o sea, la tierra no,
That is, the soil does not wear out, but on the contrary, it is strengthened with the diversification of the crops.
fortalece con la diversificación de los cultivos. Bueno, porque cuando yo estoy limpiando,
When I am cleaning and I have cassava, corn and plantain,
limpio los 3 cultivos,
I clean the 3 crops with a clean soda. I give a single man a task from the forest of 5 sticks and he will clean the cassava, yams and corn. Yes, I have separate crops. I have to spend 3 to 4 days, one for each one.
uno para yuca, uno para maíz y uno para el plátano. Entonces,
So, it is cheaper to do polycultures than to do monocultures.
bueno, nosotros, como nosotros estamos asociados a una organización que se llama ASO de San,
We belong to the Association of Displaced Persons of the Montes de Maria of the municipality of San Onofre, ASODISAN.
la sigla ASO de San. A raíz de que la organización ha ido avanzando, nos inscribimos en
As the organisation has progressed, the window to enrol in green businesses was opened, and they even gave us the certification.
A Sodesan le dieron la certificación para... Y como nosotros somos filial de Sodesan, entonces nosotros ingresamos a negocios verdes. Pero que nosotros, antes de entrar a negocios, ya nosotros veníamos trabajando.
Before entering the business, we had already been working purely organic.
Yo no utilizo químicos aquí. Nosotros hacemos sus propios fertilizantes.
We make our own fertilizers for composting, and we even use molasses.
Utilizamos la melaza, utilizamos el suero dulce.
The sweet way to prepare the compost and lighten the fermentation process.
Con Sucre más que todo nos afiliamos por el proyecto con la CIA.
With Sucre, more than anything, we're affiliated with the project with La Silla and the GOPA project.
Porque ellos fueron los primeros que llegaron aquí, nos trajeron, con Sucre nos trajeron 55 árboles de roble para reforestar.
Because they were the first to arrive here and brought us 55 oak trees to reforest, including banana hectares.
Ahí tenemos los 55 árboles.
Porque es que la tierra es el hogar de todos, ¿verdad?
The earth is everyone's home, and if we don't do something now, in a few years, no matter how much we want to, it won't be possible to do it. So, the important thing is that, not to go back on how we are, because what was damaged was damaged.
Lo que ya se dañó, se dañó. Es muy difícil. Mejor dicho, tendríamos que dejar de existir varios seres humanos para que eso sucediera.
Rather, several human beings would have to cease to exist for that to happen, but we can make an adjustment and ensure that the footprint that we leave is very minimal, as small as possible.
Sea lo más pequeña posible que nosotros podamos hacer.
Bueno, falta todavía mucho. Falta todavía mucho.
There is still a long way to go. We are, as they say, taking a few steps.
Esto es como cuando el niño empieza a caminar. Primero empieza gateando.
This is like when the child begins to walk, first by crawling and then taking the first steps. We are taking our first little steps. We need to jump and then run.
¿Y qué nos falta? Bueno, por ejemplo, mi proyecto de vida, o sea, el proyecto que nosotros como familia...
And what are we missing? The project that we have as a family is to turn the farm into an ecotourism farm.
¿Eco por qué? Que es amigable con el medio.
Eco because it is friendly to the environment, so that people come and observe what we are doing, that they live the experience.
Que viva la experiencia.
Y que esto se lleve también, no solamente desde la parte de...
And they also take not only the part of livestock and agriculture, but as human beings we take responsibility. Let's think about how much carbon footprint is leaving what I am consuming. Where does the milk that I buy in the supermarket come from? And the many paths through which it has passed.
Esa leche trae un historial y un montón de caminos por los que ha pasado. Y sería muy bueno que nosotros al momento de comprar algo.
It would be very good if when buying something we ask ourselves the questions, what am I buying? What is the history it brings? And what is the carbon footprint that it has been leaving behind? Because in reality this belongs to everyone. And if we evade this responsibility for the problem we have, if we play blind and crazy, the problem will arrive at our doorstep, and with great momentum, we will not be able to do nothing.
Porque ya en ese momento no va a haber forma de hacerlo.
Cuando una granja o cuando cualquier actividad que uno hace es autosostenible.
When a farm or any activity that one does is self-sustaining, one lives good. What I want is for my farm to be sustained in time and space.
Y en el espacio.
Yo me imagino en un futuro al lado de mi hombre.
I imagine myself in the future next to my man, with my little grandchildren in that little lake, rowing him. I want to see my farm converted into an ecotourism site where I still enjoy with my grandchildren.
Un sitio ecoturístico donde yo aún disfrute con mis nietos. Sí, ese es mi futuro aquí.
Es que, como te dije al comienzo, de profesión docente, pero de sangre campesina.
As I told you at the beginning, I'm a teacher by profession, but of farmer blood, and this word means love of the countryside. When you feel love for what you do, it doesn't matter if you don't win. The satisfaction is doing things well done.
La satisfacción es hacer las cosas bien hechas.
Ay, lo que más me gusta es que seguimos siendo, es una forma de seguir con nuestras tradiciones.
What I like the most is that this is a way of continuing with our traditions, a little Afro and a little Indigenous, because we are from both ethnic groups. It is up to us as Afro and Indigenous people to maintain that family union and work together.
Comunadamente, también del indígena. Entonces, trabajar con mi papá es muy chévere porque uno siempre...
Working with my dad is very cool because one is always learning from those things that books will never give you. The experience, what they have lived through, and the way to connect with my grandparents and great-grandparents.
Con mi tatarabuelo y sobre todo que compartimos el amor.
Above all, we share a love for the land and the countryside. This has been a way to connect much more as a family and to all walks in the same direction.
Caminar todos para el mismo lado. Entonces, lo más chévere es eso.
Vea cómo está esa represa. Si nosotros miramos la foto que tengo del 2020,
The coolest thing about it is this. If we look at the photo I have from February 2020 and notice how it is now, we realize how things have changed. I would say 100%. One speaks by example. Yes, one can speak by example, and example is here.